what is that deep place you were running from? Like, I know what you were running towards. And basically it sounded like you wanted someone to affirm you. You wanted someone to belong to. You wanted someone to accept you. Why did you feel like you needed to jump into that role? Why did you feel like you needed someone to accept you?
Because I felt like I hadn't been accepted. You know, I talked about it before. I wasn't accepted, you know, really by either side of my family. Well, not when I was a young child. You know what I mean? Of course, my mom sheltered, and in her words, sheltered me, kept me away from, you know, an abusive side of the family. And you know, she had divorced my father. I, you know, didn't see him much. He was in my life, you know, my early life, you know, via phone calls, you know. And being a yes man my whole life because I didn't fit in anywhere, and all I did was try to fit in. And you know, the more you try to fit in, you know, the more people change on you, and you realize you don't fit in. When you're seeking, you know, when you're seeking affirmation, and you're seeking, you know, support, and you're seeking love, and most of all, you're just seeking acceptance. You know what I mean? Just being around people that accept you for who you are, you know, and then grow up with that. And that's something that I'd longed for a long time in life, however I could get it.
I think this would be a good time to explain. You said you didn't grow up with that. What was the explain like the dynamics between your mom and your dad?
So my mom's white. She's from the hills of Pennsylvania, called Pleasantville, very country town. When I was young, growing up, I was the only black kid in that town going to visit my grandmother. You know, my early childhood, up until I was probably like 5 years old, you know, we would spend Christmas at my grandma's, but it would be obvious that I was different. It was obvious in how my cousins were treated versus how I was treated. And, you know, I didn't see it at the time, but my mom saw it more than I saw it. And, you know, there were times when, you know, I'd be at a family reunion and be the only black person, and people didn't want to, you know, really associate with me. And, you know, I got really, really good at a young age, you know, having a creative mind, you know what I mean? Being very creative so that I could, you know, do things by myself, but longing to be accepted by family, you know what I mean? Longing for connection, you know, when you see growing up with other people and, you know, you visit, you know, your neighbors and you see the family dynamics that you don't have growing up with just, you know, a single mother, it wears on you, you know what I mean? Eventually it starts to break you down, because that's something that you want. You know, I think we all want connection.
Yeah.
I think we all want to be a part of a community that uplifts us. And oh man, is when people say, you know, being accepted, you know what I mean, for who you are, that doesn't mean that, you know, they have to like everything that I do, and, you know, no, but accept me for who I am, as far as don't, you know, treat me any differently than you know, you're treating the next person. And that's what I experienced big time as a young person with both sides of my family, was just being treated like I wasn't one of them.